Hello and welcome to today's mindfulness talk at the Jefferson Educational Society live Facebook feed. I'm glad you came back. Thank you. And we'll be back here next Friday at noon. So today we're going to be talking about anger and using mindfulness to help with our anger, right? So whether you feel like you really struggle with anger or only kind of struggle with anger, this talk can be helpful for you. Let's see, there's a couple different parts. Some of the big points I want to make today are going to be, one, to be gentle with ourselves and to be gentle with our anger. So actually using compassion with ourselves when we're sitting with our anger, using some compassion with ourselves. So that's one of the big points I want to make today. But another big point is to learn to discern what other emotions are happening at the same time as your anger. So they might be happening at the same time, they might almost even precede the anger, but really learning how to sit with ourselves and our anger and learning what these other emotions might be. So I want to show you my anger chart because someone's going to post it for me at some point. Someone's going to post this anger chart, but I'll just give you a little introduction to it and then we'll do our mindfulness exercise. But I'll just show you my own little anger chart. So here it is. So let's see if I can do this. Yes. So we'll show it in a better format. This is the one I use in my office as a therapist. Some of you might know that I'm a psychotherapist, a mental health counselor. And this is the anger chart I use. And we will have it posted in just a couple of minutes in our comment section. But that's my anger chart. We'll talk about it a lot more. The idea is really learning to figure out what else is happening with our anger. So let's get started. What we're going to do first is we're going to do an exercise, a mindfulness exercise, where we do kind of focus on a time recently where we were angry. Hopefully a time that's not huge, but a time where we felt angry recently. It could also be a time we felt super frustrated. I feel like frustration is really kind of like a lower level of anger. So we'll do a meditation on that, and that part of the meditation will help us tune into where in our body we feel our anger and also have compassion for ourselves. I'm laughing at myself here. And then we'll talk a lot about anger, the anger chart, and then we'll do that mindfulness exercise again, and we'll tune into the other emotions that might be going on. Okay, but the first time is the compassion. So, I'm actually reading from a script that's from mindful.org. I just like this script, so I'm going to read it. Okay, I would like you to sit comfortably in your chair. It's possible you're laying down, but anyway, sit comfortably in your chair. Comfortable yet alert, with your hands resting comfortably and your eyes gently closed. Check in with your body and feel the places where your body makes contact with the chair or cushion. Take some deep breaths, completely filling the torso with air, and then completely release the breath. A couple of these. Now that you've grounded yourself by feeling your body against the chair and by taking a couple of deep breaths, let's have you think back to a time when you experienced anger. Oops, that should be off. Sorry about that. Think back to a time when you experienced anger relatively recently. You don't need to choose your worst episode. In fact, it's wise to start with something smaller. I'd like you to envision and experience what happened, allowing yourself to feel the anger again right now. Allow that feeling to get as strong as possible within like a safety zone. You don't want to get so angry right now you're, wanting to throw something. But allow that anger, allow yourself to feel that anger in your body. And instead of pushing the anger away, we're having you actually allow and feel the anger. Next, I would like you to notice where you feel this in your body. Explore this anger. There'll be a place or places that are very familiar to you. Probably the place or places where you normally feel your anger. So you've got your eyes closed. You're feeling this angry situation. And you're tuning into your body and feeling the place where you feel your anger. It could be anywhere, really. It could be in your chest. Some people, they say their shoulders, their arms. It could be in your stomach. It could be a hot flush through your whole body. Some people feel it in their hands clench. If it's hard to notice where you feel your anger, that's okay. This is a practice of tuning in, and you might not be quite tuned in yet. Just trying to notice where you feel your anger. Investigate how it feels. Noticing anything subtle about it. You're noticing where it's located. Does it change or move? Does it feel like maybe, I don't know, it's vibrating? Is it warm or cool? These sound like funny questions to ask about anger, but we are asking them. We're having you tune into your body. Notice where that anger is sitting. Other emotions such as sadness or fear may arise as you remember the episode. For now, see if you can stay with the feeling of anger. Also, when your mind kind of floats away, when you get caught up in thoughts about the anger, then I'd like you to try to come back to the anger, right? So the brain kind of carries us off into thinking and analyzing. But right now, we're trying to come right back to that situation and coming right back to that sensation in your body of anger. I'd like you to know that the feeling of anger is normal. It's a normal part of being human. We all experience anger at times. We do know that anger can be a dangerous thing when people become verbally violent or physically violent. But that doesn't mean that anger itself is a bad thing. Of course, we don't want to become physically or verbally violent. But anger itself is an indicator that something just doesn't feel right. It's a good indicator. Next, I'd like you to try to show yourself some compassion. Here is this anger. Bringing a sense of compassion to your anger and also to yourself. Perhaps even trying to cradle the anger almost like a newborn. Kind of wrapping yourself around it, having compassion rather than judgment or shame. Sitting with your anger in a compassionate way, cradling it with tenderness and care. Slowly bring your attention back to the breath and stay with it for a while, letting your emotions settle into the spaciousness of your breath and awareness. So coming back to your breath, coming back to feeling the touch points of your body on your chair or cushion, allowing the anger to be there, but bringing your awareness back to your body and your breath. Next, I'd like you to, when you're ready, open your eyes and just be noticing how that experience was for you, kind of reflecting on it, reflecting on the sensations you felt in your body. Maybe they were completely familiar, maybe they were actually unfamiliar. Did they change as you observed them? Were you able to bring compassion to your anger? And how did you do that? And then what happened to the anger when you brought compassion to it? Okay, so the goal of this exercise, as is the goal to all of our mindfulness exercises, is to increase our self-awareness and come to our awareness with a sense of compassion, because it's so much different when we come to our awareness and we notice ourselves with a sense of compassion instead of a sense of judgment. Remember, the sense of judgment can be so strong. Like, my God, why do I feel that way? Well, that's so stupid. Well, I'm really not handling things well. Other people sure handle things better than this. What the heck am I doing? All that's judgment, and it doesn't end up helping. It doesn't. There's research to support that comment. It does not end up helping to shame ourselves. So we're coming at our mindfulness practices with compassion. Okay, next thing we're going to do is look at the anger chart. So if you look in the comments section, you can click on that link and see the anger chart that we've uploaded. I'll click too just to be sure the link works. Oh, it says I need access. Not sure that's going to work. So I'm glad I checked. I can show you the anger chart on my screen. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Oh, let's see. I don't know if I can share my screen. Sorry, things are different than they used to be. I used to be able to share my screen. Sorry, Facebook made some changes. So I don't really know how to share my screen right now. So maybe I'll try to figure that out for next time. But meanwhile, let's do this. I'll show you my anger chart. Okay, and then we'll post it afterwards. So here's my anger chart. It'll be a little bit harder to see this way. There's a little reflection on it. Sorry about that. Managing your anger. What's behind it? This is a chart by Borgman, who lives in Cincinnati. I don't know, he made this chart, and I found it someplace. And I just love this chart. What's behind your anger? There's anger in the middle, and there's all these different emotions that are impacting our anger. Maybe they happen right before our anger, maybe right during our anger, maybe after. We don't have to figure all that out. But I personally would put frustration, which is over here. Whoops, sorry, it's all reversed. I put frustration here. Really, I'd put it in the middle with anger. I think frustration is a lower level of anger. But what we're really looking for is whenever we do feel anger, maybe in the moment, it's hard to notice what else we're feeling. Oftentimes in the moment, we're just kind of angry, right? It's hard to notice what we're feeling. So after you become angry, you can sit. Print yourself a copy of this chart. We'll see how we can get you a copy of this chart or send you a link to a copy of this chart. But essentially, there usually are other things going on. So going back to this time that you felt angry recently, perhaps you felt sad. Let's see, perhaps you felt sad Perhaps you felt shame. I added in pain. Maybe you felt anxious. Perhaps you felt hurt. Maybe you felt jealous. Maybe you felt embarrassed, worried, disappointed, guilty, or frustrated. And I've added in a couple of other words because just over time, I've had clients who are struggling with anger, and one of these other words comes up, like confusion. That can make me feel angry. Betrayal or surprise. That can certainly make us feel angry. Or pain, one of the ones I added up top. That can make us feel angry. Another one I've added is disrespect. If I feel disrespected, that can certainly contribute to my anger. So the idea is that you have a chart like this, or you can find another chart, but that you start to explore what's behind your anger when you are angry and figure out what other emotions are going on. And one of the reasons, well, being self-aware is good, because then when we're self-aware, we can turn the volume down on our anger or see if we believe what our brain is saying while we're angry. That's one reason it can be helpful. But another reason is it really can help with communication. So let's use an example. I use this example with my clients pretty often. Let's say you and I are friends, and you call me up. You're like, hey, let's go to this movie on Sunday. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm too busy. You're like, no, We've been talking about this for a long time. Sunday it is. Get yourself a babysitter, and we're going to go to this movie Sunday. I'm like, okay, yeah, good idea. Let's go to this movie on Sunday. And then you're supposed to come and get me at, 6. 6 o'clock rolls around and you're not here. And then you show up at 9 o'clock at night for whatever reason. You haven't contacted me meanwhile. And I am so angry. I am just so angry with you. I'm ready to come out on my porch and yell and scream at you, or maybe I'll just ignore you and never talk to you. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I am just so angry with you. Well, my guess is that if I come on my porch and I spread all this anger on you, that you'll probably react maybe with your own anger. It depends kind of how you react to anger. We all can react a little bit differently. If I just blast you with my anger, maybe you will get super angry right back at me. Maybe you'll get super upset in some other way. Maybe you get super quiet, almost like a turtle going into its shell. You will respond in a big way to my big anger. But let's say I've used some of these 3 hours to be a little bit self-aware. Maybe what I tell you is, where is it? Can you see that? Oh, I know what I did. Sorry. Here we go. Now I got it. Maybe I tell you, here's fear. I've been afraid. These whole 3 hours, I've been afraid that you were dead. Literally. I've been so afraid about you. That might be something I say. Maybe there's other things that I feel. Maybe I feel hurt. I feel hurt that you didn't even contact me. I mean, you're the one that said you wanted to go on this trip, right? I mean, to the movies. And then you didn't even contact me for 3 hours. I feel really hurt about that. I might say I was confused. Here's confusion down at the bottom. Doesn't matter where it is. I might be super confused or super surprised by it. In addition to my fear, right? But then in another way, I could also be, what if I'm sad? And I'm sad that you didn't contact me. And surprised and other things too. I'm sad that you didn't contact me. But it's also possible that this sadness goes back to something else in my life. What if as a kid, I don't know, I just didn't feel important. I don't know, I didn't feel important at all. And then I'm really sad that you didn't really find me to be important enough to let me know what was going on with you, right? And so one of these other emotions I feel can certainly be connected to something deeper that I have felt in my past. If I always felt unimportant, then you're basically kind of telling me I'm unimportant by not calling me up and letting me know what's been going on. So that's a whole lot that might be going on with me in response to you not coming for 3 hours. It might be a little bit too much even to dump all of that on you, But perhaps as I practice with this anger and recognizing what's behind my anger, I can get better at recognizing what's behind my anger, and even better at recognizing what part of that I want to tell you. So there you have it. Let's do another meditation. And this time we'll sit with the anger and we'll sit with the other emotions that come up. And it's quite possible that it'll be difficult to identify the other emotions. It could just be the emotion of like overwhelmed, which I think is a bunch of emotions. Maybe kind of like anger can be a bunch of emotions. But as with all of our mindfulness practices, that's exactly what these are. These are all practices, right? And so we can get better at these practices. So here we go. Another mindfulness exercise. It's the same one. We're going to do it again. Change it a little bit. Sitting comfortably, comfortable yet alert position with your hands resting comfortably and your eyes gently closed. Check in with your body and feel the places where your body makes contact with a chair or cushion. Take some deep breaths, filling your torso with air, and then completely release the breath. Thinking back to a time when you experienced anger relatively recently. Not necessarily your worst episode, because we're practicing on the easier episodes. Start with something smaller. Again, envision and experience what happened, allowing yourself to feel the anger again right now. Allowing the feeling of anger to get as strong as possible without feeling unsafe. Notice in your body where you feel this anger. Might be exactly the same as it was 15 minutes ago when we did this. It might have shifted, actually. Oftentimes when we focus in on these places in our body where we feel an emotion, sometimes it shifts. But now I'd like you to notice the other emotions that might be in there. Sadness, fear, frustration. If your mind comes up with frustration, definitely keep exploring, because I think frustration is just another lower level of anger. Might be frustration, disappointment in someone else or in yourself, guilt, shame, hurt, pain, even physical pain, right? Emotional pain, obviously, can increase anger, but physical pain. So right now you're sitting with your anger patiently. And noticing the other emotions that are also there. And having compassion with yourself for any emotion that arises, even if it doesn't make sense. Let's say I feel jealous, and it's a situation that doesn't even make sense for me to feel jealous. I don't know. But if I notice I feel jealous, just having compassion for myself and how hard it is to feel jealous, how hard it is to feel this angry, going with the compassion. Now slowly bring your attention back to the breath. Filling the torso with air, letting go of the air. There you are, back at your breath. feeling your body in the chair, feeling your body against the cushion, feeling your hands and arms resting wherever they're resting. And then opening your eyes and returning back. So I hope you enjoyed this session on anger, found it useful in some way to you. I'd like you to come back next week. We'll have another topic. I don't believe we've decided yet what the topic will be next week. But come back next week at noon, Jefferson Educational Society live Facebook feed. And as I said, there's a note in here now, a comment. We'll figure out how to get this content posted so you too can have an anger chart. But, actually, I do believe it's in my description of this. So go back up to the description. It says, look at the anger chart by clicking this link, and you can see that anger chart. All right. Look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again for participating today. Bye-bye.